Alrighty, welcome to episode 243 of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. Tesla posted Q4 production and delivery results with approximately 434,000 cars produced and 418,000 delivered. It also reported the deployment of a record 16 gigawatt hours of energy storage products. Tesla also posted 2025 calendar year production and delivery results with approximately 1.65 million cars produced and 1.64 million delivered. It also reported the deployment of a record 46.7 gigawatt hours of energy storage products. Tesla has announced its Q4 earnings call, which will be held on Thursday morning, the 29th of January at 6:30 Perth time. Tesla Australia has introduced a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty on all models 3 and Y delivered from the start of this year. For cars used for commercial purposes, a 150,000 kilometre distance limitation applies. Tesla's 8-year battery warranty with standard and long-range distance limitations of 160,000 and 192,000 kilometres respectively remains unchanged. Elon Musk has announced that Tesla will stop selling FSD after Valentine's Day and instead only offer it as a paid subscription thereafter. And that was this week's news. Indeed it was, and once again welcome to the program. Alrighty, as is customary, if there is anyone who is new and is comfortable in doing so, please feel free to unmute and say hello. Or perhaps a little bit later on. Alrighty, so lots of news. The FSD change in direction only occurred this afternoon, so that's very fresh news. Obviously, a week and a half ago prior to that, on the 2nd of January, I think it was, Tesla did release its production and delivery results. Obviously, the cars were a little bit softer, but energy storage is, I think from memory, it's about nearly 40% greater number of gigawatt hours that were deployed. So that's great progress for Tesla. And as we know, of course, this year, the main game is Robotaxi for this year. So there you go. And we've had that incremental improvement. Actually, it's quite a significant improvement in Tesla's standard warranty for cars delivered this year onwards, which is 5 years and unlimited kilometre warranty. Previously, it was 4 years and 80,000 kilometres. So there you go. So has anyone
How
got
many
any?
laps could you do, Harold, without running out of warranty?
Yeah, well, my my current Juniper, which is I got in June, is more than halfway through its warranty. Um, and the car that preceded it was out of warranty in 9 months, in the first 9 months. So that could have been handy. Um, yeah. Anywho, and also, and so one thing before I ask for any opening comments is, okay, with the FSD thing. So there's a few things we don't really know yet. Although Tesla did retweet this, that was Elon Musk's tweet, and it retweeted it without qualification. So I think it's safe to presume it's certainly safe to presume at this stage that what Elon Musk has said about Valentine's Day will hold throughout the whole world, so that FSD will no longer be able to be purchased. And actually, at the moment, the only cars that can purchase it are those with hardware 4. So hardware 3 cars have lost that ability to purchase FSD some time ago. And as I've said several times, look, in for the average owner, if you intend to hold your car for a short period of time, let's call it less than 4 years, and then sell it or trade it in or flip it or whatever, you are better off on a subscription model because it's cheaper, paying $149 a month than it is to pay $10,100. That's on the assumption, which pretty much holds, that no one really values at this stage FSD and FSD ownership as a second-hand car. Not very few Tesla buyers, second-hand Tesla buyers, would value that to any great extent. So if you're holding a car for just a few years, a couple of years, and you're going to flip it because you want something else, you're generally better off just subscribing. If you wanted to hold your car for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, which some people do, then you are definitely better off buying it for $10,100. My biggest issue with the fact that Tesla is deleting the option of buying it outright is, and I've said this many times, humans being what they are, and we're just useless creatures. We're really illogical. People very quickly forget the $10,100 that they've sunk into their $70,000 car, and they happily then use FSD thereafter. If you are renting it for $149 a week, you've got to think about that is one of the larger monthly payments that the average person or average family makes. The only thing that's bigger than that is maybe a utility bill and a mortgage, and there's really not a lot else. If you think about your Netflix subscriptions and all those streaming services, you could probably almost buy all of them and wouldn't quite get to $149 a month. So I just fear that for a while at least there may be a bit of a downturn in people using FSD if they haven't bought it, because they may go, look, I'm only doing 15,000 kilometres a year. That equates to roughly 40. I think it was 40 cents a kilometre. I think that's right. It's certainly a sizable proportion per kilometre, or cost per kilometre to have FSD, notwithstanding all its benefits of being much safer than a human. But anyway, that decision's been made. Elon Musk has made some big announcements on X in the past and wound them back. One of the more significant one of those was when he, a couple of years ago, or maybe it was 3 years ago, maybe longer, he basically stated that he was going to effectively dismantle most of Tesla's showrooms and effectively close them. And that sort of, I don't even know if it was really quietly resumed. Yeah, it was basically quietly unwound. And, Tesla has more showrooms now than ever before. So who knows? This decision possibly might be revised or revisited. However, as we know, the entire world is going to a subscription model. You can't buy software anymore. You can only rent it. A lot of things like that is what most industries are going to, and Tesla's no exception. As a shareholder, it's probably a good thing. Anyway, enough of me. Has anyone got any opening questions or comments?
I've got to say, Pete was right to buy all those cars with FSD.
I actually rang Pete.
Did you?
I rang Pete, and I feared that Pete might not have had all of his cars with FSD, and I'm thinking, I opened the conversation with, "I'm sorry, Pete, but my credit card hasn't got any extra credit that I could lend you to buy, a few copies of FSD." To which he said, "Pete, what did you say?"
It's all right. I've already bought it for all of my cars except one.
Yeah.
Stupidly.
So Pete's all in.
Yeah. No, I think then my next comment was, I was one of those idiots that just bought it. And then Harold's comment was, well, we've already established that you're an idiot. So
dearie me. My apologies to those of us that are idiots. That might be triggering. Anyway, if you want to seek some solace, just look at Tesla's share price in the future. That might help.
You know how we ordered the Cybertrucks? Well, we haven't ordered them, and we locked in the price.
Yep.
Are we going to hit up Elon, or are you going to be right, and that it'll pop up before the Feb? 14th of Feb.
So, oh yeah, right. No, oh yeah. And then we'll have the dilemma: do we buy it and have stamp duty get added to it because it'll be done at the time of order? In which case, the answer is probably yes. Of course, we would. No, that's actually a question I asked of Pete. We discussed that too. So that's a clanger because the problem is if for all of us who have got Cybertruck reservations, there's no documentation that says the 8,000 something dollar, 8.5 or whatever it was, where you tick that
7,400.
box. Was it 7,400, Cameron? Awesome.
That's what I
Sorry.
recall, anyways, because I ticked that box for all three.
Okay. So, and me too, I ticked the box for a Cyber Beast. Cyber
I
Beast.
think I think back then
so-
it was only about 8,600 or something rather than 10,000 as well.
Yep. So, and I'll get to you in a sec, Colin. So the issue is, well, there'll be someone that's taken a screenshot of the order page when they did the order. So there will be evidence, even though none of us probably in this room can put our hand on that commitment, but we all remember what we did, and then someone will have the receipt for it.
I'm pretty sure I took a screenshot. I'm trying to look for it as we speak.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. So, well, Paul, you got it. So that's cool. So we've got evidence that that's what Tesla offered.
Mm.
I guess the question is, can Tesla, and look, let's face it, Tesla hasn't always covered itself in glory when it comes to handling customers. So Tesla could simply just state, anywho, we no longer sell FSD, so that discount offer no longer applies because we just don't sell it anymore. So the amount of the price doesn't matter because we don't sell it. And what could we do about it? I mean, there are two people in this room, including Pete and myself. Well, actually, that's all of us that ordered a Model X at the start of 2021. I forget when it was in early January some year, and Tesla had already dismantled the Fremont factory, the Model S and X lines in Fremont, and they accepted our orders for a Model X that they promised to deliver in March that year in 2 months' time, and then proceeded to cancel it in bad faith. So there's nothing we can do if the Cybertruck FSD purchase price guarantee evaporates. But yeah, it's a great question, Paul, and it's one I'd really love to ask of Tesla, is what happens to the Cybertruck. Colin, you got your hand up.
Yeah, hey everyone. My question's for you, Harold, which is, in 5 years, how many kilometers are you going to be able to put on your next Tesla while it's still in warranty?
Well, I think I've done about 600,000 Ks so far in Teslas, so I don't know. It depends what it is. If it's a Cybertruck, I might do a few laps, Colin. The most I've done in a Tesla is 7 laps. The Cybertruck would be worth 7 laps, and the Semi's got to be worth at least a lap or so. Yeah, don't know. Who knows? I might have more time on my hands, so yeah.
Semi
Don't know.
would be commercial though.
Oh yes, yeah, and I presume that there'd have to be a substantial warranty on the Semi, because
It'd have to be.
a Semi would do
Million.
80,000 Ks or 100,000 Ks in a year. So, or probably more than that, probably much more than that. So, oh yeah, no, it would, because I did 194,000 Ks in 2 years. So yeah, the Semi would do a couple of hundred, or I don't know how much truck drivers drive. They drive continually, so it could be a lot more than that. But anyway, well, our first focus is on the Cybertruck, whose order page is going to open, according to me, with no knowledge whatsoever this quarter. So who knows? All right.
Just a quick one.
Yes.
I don't know whether you noticed, I'm related, but not exactly Tesla. And the roaming plan, the small roaming plan for Starlink has gone up from 50 gig to 100 gig.
Yes, but it's not available to all customers. So I've got 2 active Starlink accounts and 1 inactive, which was a Starlink. It's not the mini, but it's the rectangular one. I forget what it's called. Let's call it the classic, the Starlink large, but not the old round one. And the large one, I can reactivate and get was it $80 a month deal for roaming, and get the 100 gigabytes instead of 50 gigabytes, which is great. That's on a dish that I've pulled apart down to the circuit board and had siliconed into my old Y, and I've taken it out since, and now I'm just using a mini. And on my mini dish and another dish that is different, I can't select. So on my mini dish, I've just got the standby deal, which is $8.50 a month, and you get half a megabit per second or 500 kilobits per second, unlimited data. That one I cannot convert to the, let's call it 50/100 gigabyte roaming deal. I can only pay for full roaming, which is $195.
Did you take
But-
advantage of the free mini that they handed out a little while back?
No,
So
I just bought that mini at.
I tried to get that, couldn't get it.
So I got given the free mini because I've had Starlink since it's been available, and they have sent me the 100 gig roaming package, and they gave me a free mini recently.
Wow, you must have just got in the sweet spot or something where, yeah.
I have referred a lot of people as well. So
But Mark, it's definitely it's a good deal if you can get it. So if you currently are on the 50 gigabyte, $80 per month plan, you've basically got twice the data, which is good. That is good.
Yeah, I just bought a mini, so I haven't actually activated it yet. So I should be able to get it, touch wood.
Did you buy it through Starlink?
Yes, did
Did they send you the email?
I've got the email. Yeah, they sent the email for the 100, but it's been upgraded to 100, yeah.
Cool. Okay. In that case, you probably will be able to get it. Presuming you haven't got any other Starlink dishes.
No, that's the only one I've got.
Okay, cool. Okay. So that's where I think I got the email, because one of my dishes qualifies, but not the others. But in your case, because you only have one dish and you got the email, that means that obviously that one dish must qualify. Yeah. So yeah, you should be all good to go, Mark. So that'll be good.
I think 100 is to outdo me as well for a month, if I had to put everything on low data.
Yes. You mean for driving around or at home?
Yeah, no, for driving around Australia.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to do a lap.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'd resist the urge to share the internet with your car, because you really don't need to, in the sense of the FSD or autopilot or anything else works perfectly well with zero internet whatsoever. So, and the car can, especially if you've got the map on the aerial image or the wrongly named satellite image, that uses a fair bit of data. And then just go easy on streaming, like if it's YouTube videos. If you want to listen to like a podcast on YouTube, just minimize your phone if you've got YouTube Premium, because then you can actually just listen to the audio with the phone sort of closed, and that saves data as well. Or you can actually deliberately reduce the resolution to like, 240p or something. It's really like 244.
Yeah, it's a
really
low
resolution.
level. You should be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had a look at some of the settings. It looks like you can do it. So
While you're
100 gig
driving,
might
but
work.
yeah, and while you're driving, I mean, obviously, if you're overnighting at a hotel or a caravan park or whatever, you'll have normal Telstra / Optus, mobile data. So maybe just be a bit judicious, because the problem is if you exceed the 100 gigabytes, it's not that cheap per gigabyte. I think it's $1 a gigabyte thereafter.
If I read what it said on the new plan, it sounds like
sorry.
it automatically now reverts to the standby.
Sorry, apologies. Yes, it does too. Yes. And actually, as a note, for those people using or contemplating using the super cheap plan, which is $8.50, I've actually successfully watched a YouTube video on that plan. I mean, 0.5 megabit per second sounds like nothing, but a lot of these streaming services are very efficient, and it actually worked quite well. So you can get by on the so-called slow version, whether that's after the 100 gigabytes at $80 a month, or even if it's at worst case just the $8.50.
The email
deal.
refers to unlimited low-speed data
Yep.
after you reach 100 gig, so you don't do without.
No, exactly. So look, if the $80 is affordable, then that's a very good. It's a very good deal. It really is. Cameron, you got your hand up.
Oh, yeah, my mic was muted. I've actually uploaded 36 gigabytes this month to the mothership.
Is that all?
Is that all?
No, that's good. No, that's good. No, that is good.
Yeah. So just speaking of like that 100 gigs, so like sharing with the car and that.
Yes. And of course, if you get a software update, which we're all looking forward to, particularly those of us with FSD, with hardware for FSD, that's going to be about 12 gigabytes when it eventually comes. The update.
Has anyone heard anything about that? I haven't been watching this. I haven't seen anything about us getting an update for that.
No. So some people are guessing, and they're just guessing that maybe Tesla's doing some minor tweaks, that they're not calling it a software revision, but they're updating some parameters or something, and it's like I just don't. I think people are clutching at straws. The thing that worries me. The problem is Elon Musk has declared that version 14.3, I think it is, will have. Bearing in mind in America they're up to version 14.2.2.3.
Oh,
I think it's 14.2.2.3, something like that. Really silly, sort of like too many dot revisions. Version 14.3 will have the 10 times parameters and have more of the sentience. I forget what they call it. The executive reasoning. Thank you, Mark. The reasoning functions, which is important because it needs to reason its way out of certain challenges, like certain layouts of roadworks or a parking area that is different, and it's got to literally intelligently work something out that's different to what it expects or what it's previously planned. So that's version 14.3. I guess given that we haven't had an update for, God, it's been September, 3-4 months, because it's been so long, it probably doesn't make a lot of sense to do another revision until effectively the North American system is sorted software-wise, and then they can apply training to that system, which I fear now might end up becoming version 14.3. So, because there's no point us sort of training on a model that's already superseded. The only problem with that theory is if you took that to its final extension, well, we could be waiting a year because, well, why wouldn't they go version 14.3.1.2.3 whatever? And when does Tesla headquarters say, all right, well, let's just pause for a second and give the Australians a fair go at the at Cortex One and retrain that new model under Australian conditions, which, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, that's what the Australian version is. It's literally trained on Australian data and Australian synthetic data, so simulation, or Australian-based simulation. So maybe we have to wait another couple of months before we get an update. I guess the only good thing is the longer we wait, presumably the much better the progress will be.
I think we might, well, it's a thought, we might actually benefit as well because they want to release it in Europe, including the UK. If they want to release it in the UK, their right-hand market as well. So that step change then might feed through straight to us because we got very similar road rules, etc., to the UK.
Yes,
so it might feed that way. Yep. Yes,
yeah. So this is something
advertised for autopilot testers in Thailand as well, like they did here. So I reckon it's coming soon to Thailand. Right-hand drive,
which is right-hand drive as well. Yes. So, although this is something that really piqued my interest the other day, I think it was on a Brighter with Herbert, where they said China just went to 13.2.9.
Yep.
And I thought, that's really weird because we've got 13.2.9.
2.9, yeah.
So that was really, it was sort of weirdly interesting. Which maybe that means 13.2.9 is, Tesla is saying for the rest of the world, that's going to be it for now. It's just a matter of how long is now. So, yeah, maybe the next update will be in a couple of months and hopefully it'll be 14 point something and it'll be a step change. Because obviously, yeah, well, if you look at what the Americans are saying, I mean, there's that gentleman, I forget his name, that'll do. That he's a LiDAR salesman, but it's a geospatial LiDAR, not automotive. And he has driven 12,000 miles with 0 interventions. Although, having said that, I don't know if a throttle hurry up or an indicator change counts as an intervention. It probably doesn't because you're not intervening, you're just helping. But anyway, he has heroically put up with that system. Like, there's not a single mile, because it's measured in miles, 12,000.0 miles on FSD and 12,000.0 miles driven. So that means he puts up with, if he comes home and it's not quite parked in the perfect spot or whatever, he must just accept it. And he's had to, for his work, he's had to go to lots of different multi-story places. I think he said once there was a parking garage, they call them a multi-story thing. But thankfully, for one job, his car found a parking spot out the front of the building and just parked there. So that kind of made it easy. But he is, and even going to superchargers, which we can't do in Australia, but it presumably reverses backwards to a vacant supercharger stall. But I mean, what we don't know is how many times he's had to put up with basically ending a journey and stopping and recommencing a journey just to get it to inch forward or do what he wants it to do. But yeah, it's a dramatic difference. And something that we obviously aren't used to because we are very accustomed to making interventions all the time, especially on, navigation errors and lane errors and a few other things. But
you're on about reasoning. I went through Osborne Park the other day where they've redone all the stuff around IKEA, all around the back there, where the road's all bollards
Stevenson
all over
Ave.
the place. Yeah, there's bollards everywhere. The road isn't mapped on the thing, and it drove right the way through with all the diversions, and it actually
Yep.
followed all the stuff, and it got me through virtually the whole thing. I was absolutely amazed because it wasn't
Yep.
even on the map. You just you didn't know where the hell it was, but it kept driving.
No, and you see the blue line is darting off to the left and going back behind you and
Yes,
coming
yeah.
round behind. You know, it's sort of, and it just goes, yeah, that's all well and good, but I'm on this piece of road that's going straight. I might as well just keep doing that for a while and see what happens. I'm going in the right direction, which is pretty cool.
It is.
Yeah, yep, yep, yes, and it was such a great piece of road. They named it after you, Mark. So
Well, obviously.
obviously,
You spell it right, did they, Mark?
It is the right spelling. The posh one with a PH, not the common one with a V.
Yeah, good.
very good. Colin, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify something because I was chatting to a Tesla sales guy in Osborne Park the other day, and he told me that there had been 2 slight updates to the FSD version in Australia, in that the version number had actually changed, which I didn't think was the case.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah, I thought he said it had gone from 13.2.7 to 13.2.9 or something like that.
Yeah, so he's referring to, because mind you, Tesla employees got early access to FSD as testers, beta testers, and I think they had at least a couple of versions before it was released to the public. And when I say public, that even includes the so-called early access people.
Right.
Anyone that's not a Tesla employee has only ever received in their personal cars version 13.2.9,
Okay.
and there's been no revision since. So the salesman's correct. It's just that it's because they might have been recalling what they saw on their employee cars or their pool cars or whatever, which probably was version 13.2.7 and 8. Yeah, definitely.
Because interesting, because we were chatting about it. Well, I was there picking up the EV labels. So thank you to Tokwa for the EV labels.
Actually, yeah, thanks for that that reminder. So the labels are absolutely available to any Tesla owner that comes to either the O'Connor or Osborne Park showroom. So yeah, and you're very welcome, Colin. It's the least that Tokwa can do to support Tesla owners, whether they are or not or aren't members. It's something we do with pleasure. It's the least we can do.
I was happy to see it because I ended up ordering the ones from AEVA, but they come, you can only pop rivet them. That's the only way of attaching them.
Are you joking? So what? There's no sticky back on them.
No. So they arrived and I was like, oh, and then I saw the X post from Tokwa. I was like, hey, I'm saved.
Very good. I mean, look, there's nothing stopping you from getting a little bit of double-sided mounting tape from Bunnings or whatever and just sticking that on the back of the Ava ones and just gift it to someone else.
Yeah.
Or if you want to rivet it to a aluminium plate, that's fine. Please don't try to rivet it to a polycarbonate plate because it's just going to smash. And they're expensive to replace.
Yeah,
it was interesting when I was chatting to the guy, we were just chatting about while we were in there because I took my 5-year-old and he was just wanted to have a look at all the display cars, and he was asking about, we were just chatting about FSD, and I was saying how even though it's the older model, it does have hardware 4, and he was like, oh, have you tried FSD? And I was saying, I subscribed for a month when they first released it, but then I've let it lapse until they update it because it was just annoying me. And then that's when he mentioned, it was like, oh, yeah, there's been some changes. So, if you try it now, it's definitely better than it was. And I was like,
no,
really?
No, definitely not. Steve, so you're going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to mention that I also picked up the EV stickers from O'Connor. There's no challenges. They knew straight away what was happening. 2.5 millimeters is the rivet size, not 3 or 3.2. The hole is slightly smaller than the 3 mils. So I bought 2.5 millimeter rivets and they work.
Oh, to rivet them. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. What's that in inches? Doesn't matter. 2.5. It's all good.
A tenth of an inch?
Oh, yeah.
10.1.
Oh, no, it can't be. It'd have to be an
25.4
imperial.
is 25.4, so 2.54
Is a tenth.
is 10.
Exactly.
Yeah, wow,
Thank you.
that's a non. Yeah, there'd have to be a poorly fitting imperial equivalent in freedom units.
I used to work on
Um,
aircraft, and 2.54 was a common size to use because it was American. Because we had to comply.
oh yes, tenth of inch. That's right, because engineers, you have an engineering scale in inches, which is decimal inches,
Yeah,
and imperial. Yes, yes, because there's a thing called mils in circuit boards, which is
yeah,
a thousandth of an inch.
yeah.
Oh, dearie me. Um, you know, just a quick aside, that it is legislated in US legislation to accept the metric system, but it's optional. So it's on their books as that is a legitimate form of measurement. It's just not mandatory.
And if you
Anyway.
remember, Star Trek was metric. When
Oh,
when Roddenberry was
no.
doing it, he thought the American would be metric by then.
Not.
Oh well. One day it might be true.
Didn't happen.
I mean, Elon Musk is trying hard. To their credit, I think SpaceX talk about kilometers per hour and kilometers when they have rocket launches. Whereas if it's a NASA simulcast, or if it's a crew mission to the space station and it's streamed on NASA's platform, they always talk about miles an hour and whatever. Actually, well, for you, Mark, for your home country, you have centimeters, millimeters, and miles per hour.
Strange. And we went metric in 1971, and yet you always bought a pint of beer.
And you drive miles per hour until you go. And in Northern Ireland, it's miles per hour, and in the Republic of Ireland, it's kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
So,
and when I first came to Australia, all the drinks were metric, and then I came out the second time. They're all 500 ml, etc. And when I came over the second time, you started to be able to buy a pint.
Yep.
Why does that work?
Yeah. All right. Enough of that.
Silly.
Yeah, it certainly is. All right. Anyone got any other questions or comments?
There was a question in the chat.
Oh, I haven't even opened the chat. Apologies.
Was on FSD.
I have a question. How many people are using F? Oh, okay. So how many people who have FSD? So that's the real FSD. Using it more than 80% of driving. I suggest everyone is using it more than 80% of the time. Pretty much, it's
Virtually.
the only. Yeah. So the only time I live in a place where, because I'm under a tin roof, GPS isn't deadly accurate, it seems, at this very start. And sometimes when I start a journey, the car will GPS thinks I'm on one road in parallel in like to the north, or a street to the north. So rather than turning left, which it should, it turns right. So then in order to stop that faffing, I'll just sort of like drive out of my driveway, chuck a left-hand turn, and then put it on. Or, sometimes you just can't be faffed going just around the corner because you've got to enter in a destination, which is the thing that's really painful. And by the way, if you don't enter a destination, the car will often, but not always, turn left at a street rather than just going through, or not. So it's difficult to drive the car without a destination on FSD. But yeah, in general, I reckon everyone would be doing it vastly more than 80%. I do know a mate of mine who's a friend of the channel that He drives down Albany Highway a fair bit, and he just finds it difficult to deal with, or just annoying to deal with the speed limit sag, and just changes his car to autopilot just to belt down the Albany Highway. And as soon as he gets within Perth's, basically, Narmadale, he'll then flick on, come to a stop and then flick on FSD. Because, around slower speed limits, it does a lot better than a 100 or 110 kilometre per hour speed limit zone. That's the only annoying thing at the moment, which is only one software revision away from being fixed.
We should clarify the question asked about FSD. So we're talking about hardware 4 or AI 4 FSD.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I said that at the start. It's the real FSD on hardware 4.
Yep.
Not to be confused with what was called FSD, which really now should be called something else. It should be called Autopilot Plus or Autopilot based FSD, not full end-to-end neural network trained actual FSD supervised.
Which it's not.
Which no hardware 3 car has that at this stage. And none of us that had what was called FSD before version 13.2.9, all of that so-called FSD was just a enhancement of autopilot with all its foibles and its phantom braking and lots of poor behaviour that many of us have suffered for years. I guess gladly, because autopilot was certainly better than nothing, but now FSD has gazumped it well and truly.
I still have one big issue with mine. I always have to drive out of our street because as I pull down towards a junction, it's a left-hand turn onto an uphill section. And if I'm going round that corner, when a car comes down, for some reason, the car just suddenly wants to flip towards that car that's coming down the hill.
Yes,
and I
go on the wrong side of the road.
I don't know whether it's going to hit it or not, but I always yank it back in before it does anything. It's that's one of the very few places it does it. It just very, very rarely does anything silly, but that one place it does it fairly often if there's a car coming down the hill at me. If there's no car, it does it perfectly.
If we could be bothered, and we can't because it's not our job, it'd be great to set that up with someone else coming the other way that knows what's going to happen and then just lets it happen. I mean, it goes without saying, if the car literally is going to hit the other car, you can then slam the brakes on. But it's probably all but certain that the worst that would happen is the two cars would approach each other head to head, and your Tesla would probably just come to a stop. Its anti-collision thing would override its weird desire to go onto the wrong side of the road.
Yeah.
But it often happens when there is a car coming the other way.
If there's no car coming the way, it does it's absolutely perfect. It's only if it's a certain distance. If it's a long way away, it's not an issue. It has to be fairly close for some reason.
It's almost got this magnetic attraction to it. It's just there's a glitch in the way it was programmed.
It's as if that it runs out of buffered things to do, and it confuses it because it's watching that, and then it doesn't know how to steer.
Mark, I've had this happen to me maybe 7 or 8 times, and on 2 occasions, I had the courage because it was going fairly slow, the other car was going fairly slow. So I had the courage to let it just go and just gave it a longer leash, if you like. And it did eventually just go into its left lane. So I did that on 2 occasions. On the other 6 odd occasions, the other car was going too fast. I just didn't have the nerves, so I just took over. Yeah.
No, it's like playing chicken, and I'm not game.
It gets to. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's at a point where it's far beyond most people's comfort level. So you'd have to be a bit of a kamikaze pilot to let it, give
Yeah.
it a leash that was that long in some of those scenarios. But like I said, in those two scenarios where both cars were going quite slow and, it wasn't sort of dangerous at all, it did eventually just come
Yeah.
back. But the other
It-
driver did look at me.
Yeah.
No, well,
What the hell are you doing?
and that's the issue, Pete, is you don't want to be a bad citizen.
Absolutely.
Admittedly, our cars do strange enough things as it is, where they'll indicate for two flashes and give up, even though they were supposed to cross over. They'll, there's you're on the freeway and there's less traffic on the right hand lanes, but it chooses the left hand lane for a little bit, and then it crosses back to the lane it was in, and then does the right hand lane. You look like a bit of a tosser, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
To be honest, but most of us sort of put up with it. Well, because we're grateful that it's FSD, and
The thing is, though,
But-
I'd say 99% of the time, it's absolutely excellent. Really is good. Just the odd little glitch, and you've got to know that, and that's why it's called supervised.
Yeah.
In all fairness.
yes, yeah,
But it is so good, and it is, and even things like the other day, there was two ravens in the road. There's one over the right, one over the left. It was in the middle of the road. The car was driving towards it. The raven walked to go off the road. It actually pulled slightly right to go round the raven. So it's even watching for things that small and that sort of thing. So it's doing some amazing stuff that's,
Well, I had an interesting situation on the freeway today. So I was in the middle lane and there was a motorbike to my right and there was a car in front of him. So he decided to sort of go left and come into my lane, but quite close to me. And the car slowed down and just pulled over to the side just to give him extra room, and then just came nicely back,
Yeah, I've had that happen several times on the freeway with bikes. Yeah.
It just did it so quickly.
And in some cases, it was actually pulling over. I hadn't actually seen the motorcyclist. The car moved, and I wondered why it moved. And then I looked in the mirror, and that's why it moved. It had seen the bike that I hadn't seen.
Yeah.
So it is really good.
But it's the biggest thing with it is, so I was speaking to a person today and explaining how it works, and he was saying, oh yeah, it would have been quite unnerving the first time you drove it, blah blah. And I said, no, the bigger problem is becoming complacent because it's so good so often. So sometimes I'll literally go weeks now without a safety intervention. But then I remember this was a few weeks ago, I literally did like 3 or 4 weeks without a safety intervention. And I did I was at the airport a number of times. And then during that 3 or 4 weeks, and then I did one drive to the airport and did it twice in a row, and then did almost a safety intervention towards the end of the trip. So I almost got 3 in one trip, whereas I didn't have one for about 3 or 4 weeks. So it can be, very random.
The thing that there's no doubt of is the combination of FSD supervised and you as a supervisor much more relaxed and able to sort of just generally just observe what's going on.
More
That
situational.
combination, that combination is vastly safer because as inadequate humans, we don't get overwhelmed. So there's a classic. I think it's one of the worst T intersections is the off ramp. So you're coming from south going north, and you go to the Mill Point Road off ramp, which it is a T intersection, or it ends in a T intersection, and you've got Mill Point Road going sort of in either direction, but it's actually on a curve. It's a curved piece of road that goes under the Narrows Bridge, and because it's curved, you can't just sort of like look to your left and your right. You've got to look to your back left and back right, sort of. You've got to curve around, and you've got the shadowing effect of the Narrows Bridge, and you've got lots of cyclists and others that are traversing all over the place. As a human, you've got to do this left, right, sort of, rapidly look, and you've got different high contrast lighting, and you've got backlighting and all that sort of stuff. The car just sees everything simultaneously, knows everything simultaneously, and just drives with absolute confidence. Things like lane changing. you don't have to worry if you're on the freeway and even if you manually put the indicator on, the car will cope with another car at that same instant doing the same thing and manually coming into the lane. The car will come in a bit, realize the other car's going to clash with your car or conflict with it, and it'll just back off seamlessly and return to where it was and when it's doing that, it's still paying attention to what's in front. Whereas as a human, we might have been fixated by, oh no, there's a car. We think there's a car coming to our left. We look to our left to confirm and do adjustments. In the meantime, someone in front of you has just slammed the brakes on because they're dodging something or whatever, and you end up in a prang because you can't see everywhere and you can't deal with everything at the same time. Whereas FSD absolutely can and does.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that combination is unbeatable. Notwithstanding, you do need to supervise it at the moment, rightfully so. But, probably later this year, as far as the functionality of the car, its abilities, you probably won't need to supervise it. So, and that's only months away.
Well, apparently in the US, the system allows drivers to be on their phone now in certain situations. And then if the situation warrants it, they may get a alert to not necessarily take over, but to start paying attention.
Yep. And that's appropriate. In fact, that's a level 4. That equates to level 4 driving. Well,
Level 3 or level?
No, actually, level 4 is it'll drive fully by itself, but there might be a time when you need to intervene. But it can't drive by itself everywhere.
But it should give you enough time to stop doing whatever you're doing, like get off your phone or what have you. So, give you a couple of seconds notice. Yeah.
Yep. Whereas level 5 is there's no one in the car and it'll just keep driving everywhere all the time.
Yep.
Like all the time. I think that's right. I think level 3, you've got to be alert to take over very quickly or something. I can't exactly remember. And
James
in fact,
Stevenson
actually
did the best one on that. If you look through James Stevenson's stuff, he did a fantastic one of breaking down exactly what every one of them is.
The funny thing is, those levels are kind of meaningless because, in fact, the reason why FSD supervised was, well, it wasn't even FSD supervised wasn't approved for use in Australia. It met all the same requirements as autopilot because at all times you are always responsible, you are always deemed to be in control, and it's permitted for the car to do autonomous things providing you're always there to override it at all times, because it's really no different to a car with cruise control autonomously dictating the speed. Obviously, at any moment, the driver is there to change that. And the same applies to the steering wheel. So these notions are... So FSD supervised is just basic level 2, which many of us would argue is it does much more than that in effect.
So I think what you were describing, Harold, is more level 3. So according to, SAE, or they were formerly called the Society of Automotive Engineers, was it?
That's what SAE means. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, they just changed it to an acronym recently, but that's what it used to stand for. Yeah. Level 3 is system drives under specific condition. A human does not need to monitor continuously, but must be able to take over upon request, which is pretty much exactly what you described.
Yep.
Whereas
and what's level 4?
Level 4 is vehicle can drive itself in defined areas or conditions without human intervention. Human takeover is not expected in those conditions. So basically, geofenced areas or what have you, and so like a Waymo would be a level 4. So in certain geofenced conditions, you're not expected to take over. You can do everything, but only in those areas. Whereas
or it might be able to be or it might be able to fail gracefully, which is it's too hard, I give up, I just pull over.
Or
You know.
ungracefully when the lights go out and there's a power out.
It was very graceful. No, Pete, come on. It was very graceful having 6 Waymos in an intersection gently blocking all the traffic. It was very graceful.
It was like
It's called traffic calming.
It was like synchronized swimming.
My apologies for any synchronized. Sorry, I was going to say swingers. Swimmers. Synchronized
What a giveaway.
swimmers. Try and say that 10 times in a row. Synchronized
That's a Freudian
swimmers.
slip.
Yeah, it was. Apologies for any synchronized swimmers who might have been offended by Pete's comment.
Or swingers. They might be offended too.
And those who are swingers too, you do you. It's all good.
Well, the whole idea is they
or
do it
someone
with
else.
other people, not just themselves. It's pretty,
Oh no.
yeah.
I don't know whether they're
opposite
coming to go in
definition
here.
of that.
I think I'm going to get
Yeah,
I think you know how people YouTubers they proudly show their silver and gold YouTube plaques. I think we're going to get like a Mission Brown plaque or something like that. It's anywho.
Toilet humour.
That's it, exactly. Alrighty. In a vain effort to try and get ourselves out of that mire. Any other questions or comments?
So
I wonder with Robotaxi if they're really close. Like, you know how they've now got the operations manager positions being advertised in different cities around America. I'm just sort of wondering, you know, we've seen the spy shots of the Cybercab and all that sort of stuff, but I'm just wondering if they're really close and hence the full self-driving and all that sort of stuff.
So I know Jeff Lutz, he's been on Herbert's program and others as well.
Yeah,
He's really good at all the logistics and all that sort of stuff and planning releases of mass-produced products. And obviously he said it's absolutely normal for the Cyber Cab, so that's the gold-coloured two-seater, to be doing testing, effectively environmental testing all over the place. So in fact, he goes, he wants to see that being tested in blizzard conditions and snow conditions and physically tested, which also segues nicely to, you know, there was a photo out there with a Robotaxi looking like, a Cybercab apparently about to be towed. And the whole point of that is you want to do testing so that anything that fails during testing and not during mass production. You want to get all those wrinkles out. And it's actually a positive thing that they actually get these things to fail so they can learn from that and make it better. So there's no doubt that seeing lots of physical examples out there is a positive thing, but that's really normal for any new vehicle. So Cybertrucks were seen out in the wild and they had release candidates and they did the Baja whatever and this and that and stuff, where they try and learn. It's really the last opportunity to make some minor tweaks. But I think you're right, Paul. Look, anyone that says they know just doesn't, unless they work for Tesla. The great thing about this is it's sort of like slowly, then all at once. So, and there's 2 ways that Tesla can expand its robotaxi fleet. Bearing in mind, robotaxi is just a general term for an autonomous vehicle. And at the moment, all robotaxis doing fares in Austin, which is with a supervisor in the passenger seat, they are all Model Ys, and the same applies for Tesla has to call them rideshare, even though they're ride-hailing, and they've got this supervisor is behind the steering wheel in California, but the software is exactly the same, so it's driving exactly the same, and I dare say the so-called driver or the supervisor is doing exactly the same as they're doing Austin, which is functionally nothing. But that's the point. Tesla could just roll that out, Model Ys, for for the foreseeable future. Something else has come about. So the Cybercab, which is the 2-seat, which got no steering wheel. Oh, so this is going to be a little bit confusing, but the robo taxis that are going out in the field at the moment, most of them have a steering wheel and a driver slash supervisor, well, a supervisor using a Cybertruck Squircle steering wheel and pedals. But that's more for regulatory reasons, because I think in California you have to do that. In Austin, there are a couple of robo taxis, I think, that don't have anyone in them, but they're usually driving one behind the other, and I think there are other Teslas following, or another Tesla following, but that's all just in the test process, so that's unsupervised. The Department of Transport Committee, there was a Department of Transport Committee that heard about a day ago, so it was on the 13th of January US time, which was, let's call it, last night. They heard a committee meeting discussing changing. At the moment, there is an exemption of 2,500 vehicles per annum that any car maker is permitted to produce each year, 2,500 of them, that don't have things like wing mirrors, pedals, or steering wheels. So that's ones without any driver control or features that a driver would require. But there's a maximum limit per annum of 2,500. There is now a suggestion that be changed to 90,000 per annum, which would suit the Cybercab, which doesn't have steering wheels and whatever. But if for whatever reason that was delayed, Tesla could still produce cars, namely the Model Y, or they could even produce Cybercabs and simply fit the steering wheel and the pedals, even though they'll never get used, because there's a difference between the legality of producing a vehicle that's legal to license, and there's a difference between that and operating it as a driverless robotaxi. So that's something else that is positive coming down the line for Tesla, is that it's highly likely that 2,500 vehicle limit will change to 90,000 per annum. And that'll be okay for Tesla for at least this year and possibly sometime into next year, where they then obviously seek to have it increased again, or that limit, removed.
There were some positive comments made during that hearing. I remember one was America shouldn't try to compete with Europe to regulate. We should compete with China to innovate. And I thought, that's I quite like that line.
Yes, the poor old Europeans have got the art of bureaucracy and regulation down to just stifling the whole economy and everything, really. Yeah. So yes, the US would do well not to do that. And the problem, actually, with Europe, it's probably makes sense because you've got these disparate countries that are all independent, but they all agree to sort of abide by all this regulation, which is probably about the only way of getting them to do the same thing in any case. But in America, you've got 50 states, and a lot of them just do their own things. So I believe, as far as robotaxi goes, again, which is either the Cybercab or the Model Y, there are some states whereby there's effectively no regulation. You can just go and do it and see what happens. And I forget which states they are, but there's a number of states that basically say, well, you can do whatever you like, and if something goes bad, well, you'll get sued by someone. So, yeah, hopefully for Tesla's sake, although it's not essential, this thing gets actioned fairly quickly, which it probably can if it's at a federal level, and if President Trump has the power, which he probably does, to just do an executive order to that effect, or at least if Congress and the Senate just pass legislation in favour of national vehicle standards legislation and robotaxi type stuff. So again, that it just points to great things happening this year, which this has been, it's 2026 has been described as the year of Tesla. Like this is Tesla's big year. Although of course that'll be superseded by 2027 and 2028. It like every year from now on is probably going to be Tesla's most important year, because if it's not robotaxis, it's going to be eventually it's going to be Optimus, which will make everything we're discussing just irrelevant, or just unimportant. It was a rounding error.
I was thinking the other day on that Peter Diamandis, the Moonshots podcast, he was saying that Optimus will be able to replace surgeons in a few years' time. It will be a lot more precise than the most precise human surgeon. And I'm just thinking, if you have a Optimus, and I think he was asked whether you'll be able to buy one as your personal robot, and he said remains to be seen or something along those lines. But if you are, and let's say you have one of these things at home or in your work or where have you, if this thing can operate, if it's got the physical ability to operate, do brain surgery or heart surgery, imagine the first aid it will be able to provide. So, whether it will be uploaded with that module to be able to do surgery or not, but in a first aid situation, and I suppose it will be a disclaimer you'll have to sign, or you'll have to give it permission to render you that aid if that situation arises or what have you. But if this, if you've got effectively a qualified surgeon, doing their housework around the house, you've got basically a first responder on hand 24/7. That's as good as a surgeon.
with the great power pack for AED.
Say again?
With a great power pack for the automatic defibrillator.
Oh,
yes.
Yes. So I'm sure Elon Musk will probably say that Optimus will be so good that it could probably do all of that stuff all at once. But it wouldn't be tragic if, in an emergency situation, provided you got good communications, like good Wi-Fi or whatever, it wouldn't take that long to download 10 gigabytes of data to kind of reprogram itself or augment that knowledge or reload a secondary sort of image to like have an expert pack.
It'd be like the Matrix movie where what's the female character? Not Neo, but the other one, where
Trinity.
Trinity. That's it. Thanks, Paul. Where she is supposed to drive a helicopter and doesn't know how to do it, so she just downloads the module, and now she knows how to fly a chopper. Yeah,
and look, even if that took 2 minutes or a minute or something, and the thing is, there probably wouldn't be just one Optimus on site, there'd be several. So it would be trivial to say, have them cooperate so that one is doing basic first aid or to the level that it's able to do in general terms. But then you'd have another one that goes, all right, well, I'm going to download the blah, blah, blah expert package, which may take some time. And then it just whips out a scalpel and just starts, fixing stuff, So I think the great thing is we're alive in a time when we have no chance of coming close to guessing what's going to come next. Because
I honestly think when it starts, though, you'll end up with an Optimus that is a surgeon Optimus. And that's the one that's got the extra mobile hands, the extra precision. And that is a batch of ones to start. So eventually, that'll filter down to all of them or whatever, and they'll all be things. But they'll start off with specialising for certain things with them, I'm pretty sure. Because it would be a pretty specialist one, because you want it to not have any gaps or anything to get any contamination. If you're opening people up, you don't want to contaminate stuff.
Couldn't agree more. So I reckon... thing is, I know of surgeons that earn millions of dollars per annum. It's not just one. It's more than one, and it's more than two. And there's no doubt. Like, if you have a surgeon Optimus, it wouldn't matter if it costs $500,000. It's nothing. So.
No.
As good as Elon Musk has said that the version 3 Optimus, which is going to be, it's due to be launched or revealed in April, I think it is, basically, roughly.
The production.
As good as... Oh, sorry, yes, but also they're talking about, because that'll be version 3, which will have the version 3 hand, which is the one with 22 degrees of, I think 22 or maybe more degrees of freedom, and it's super duper good. There's no doubt that it would make perfect sense to invest in a surgical hand that might be 10 times as resolved with fine action and no backlash, which is far beyond what you'd need for the closest needlework as far as embroidery and general skills.
And you don't need that for gardening.
No, and you don't need it for anything else or typing or anything. But for a surgeon... what would be great is if Optimus itself, like, you have surgical robots, you have the Da Vinci and various things that are very specialized, and surgeons often will still operate parts of that, but they have great algorithms which will take away their natural tremor and all that sort of stuff so that they can do very precise things and reduce the scale of movements. So you'd either just have something that Optimus plugs into, which is a robotic surgeon, and everything's the AI doing it, or Optimus's AI, or you might produce a $100,000 hand or two that on one robot, because cost does not matter with surgery, because it's all about the running cost, and the running cost is nothing. The capital cost is irrelevant. It could cost $1 million, and if it does more than $1 million worth of surgery in 1 year, well, it's paid for itself in a year, and the rest is gravy, plus overheads. But we can't. It'd be futile for us to try and imagine just how disruptive it's going to be, and there's no point even getting scared of it, because it's going to happen anyway, and people will evolve. Maybe the older surgeons will retire and that'll be it. The younger ones, some people may have wasted their training, but this thing won't happen everywhere all at once. And there's always an opportunity, probably initially, where there'll be a phase-in period whereby these optimi will be, it'll be mandated that they have to be observed with a surgeon. A little bit like, you have an anaesthetist who, and don't want to insult anaesthetists, but most of the time, they just observe the expert machinery doing its job, and they really just make sure everything looks okay, because it's all automatic these days with gases and all that sort of stuff. So it might be that surgeons end up in a phase-in period being a backstop, a mandatory backstop, just like I don't know if it still happens, but for most radiological places, if they deal with certain isotopes, there was a rule where they needed a person who got a degree in physics to be present. Now, that might no longer be the case, but there's always scope to have phase-in sort of regimes, so that the disruption isn't as dramatic. But no doubt, if you go to Eagle Bay or whatever, and all those houses are owned by surgeons because they're the only ones that can afford those buildings, that's going to change. The world's going to flatten.
People that think this is sort of pie in the sky science fiction stuff, I mean, we already have like LASIK eye surgery. That's all done by a robot. There's no human involved.
No.
It's 100%. And I mean, like Elon said, you wouldn't want, someone holding a laser in their hand, pointing it at your eye. You'd want the robot to be doing it. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yep. And think about, I mean, for us, it's really quaint, and we were never obviously there because this was hundreds of years ago, but the revolution that was the Gutenberg Bible, which probably only took weeks to make by hand using printing, ancient printing techniques, was vastly better than what could have been years of handwriting copies of a Bible, which then went to faster printing techniques and then digital printing to where, now you don't even need it printed. It's just on a screen, on a device. That's not even, whose data is not even on that device. It's just downloaded.
And it can be read to you by a human sound.
Oh, yes, and it can be read to you by, yeah, exactly. So by an automaton or by a machine, the difference in cost of transmitting a Bible's worth of information to a human being has gone from, in today's prices, probably tens of thousands of dollars to nothing, like literally nothing, or to a fraction of a cent.
Well, it was a week's worth of expert labour.
Oh, more. That's probably in the printing process, but in the handwriting process, it was monks spending
years,
many months, or possibly years.
Right.
So that revolution, even though we're at the pointy end, the far end of the it has value of zero. A lot of what Optimus will do and other robots will do similar things. Like I said, surgeons who can elicit, say, $3 million a year, they may only be able to earn $500,000 or 200 grand. But then that's okay. They will feel less rich. But all goods, the price of all goods, all manufactured goods, will approach the value of the raw materials that went in to construct them. In fact, as Elon often says, I think he calls it the idiot index. And that is the ratio, which is the difference between the base cost price of the raw material and the total cost to transform it to the finished product. And the higher the differential is your lack of knowledge to be able to do it cheaper.
Yep.
So really, the cost of labor and the cost of things will approach their minimum. So we'll all many of us will all be poorer because we're not doing the jobs we used to do, but everything you need to buy to live is a lot cheaper. And then there'll only be contestability at things like perhaps real estate, whereby not everyone can have a waterfront property or whatever it is, because even though labor is ubiquitous and products are ubiquitous, location is not.
Well, the things
unless
that will become much more valuable than anything else will be the things that you can't have. So,
yes.
or only one person can have, or where
there's a natural scarcity, such as a physical location. We can't all live, on I don't know, Mill Point Road in South Perth, looking at the city.
Yep.
Although
we can't all have a Picasso.
Yes. Well, then again, we could just go to Claude or whatever and go make us a painting of myself in the style of Picasso.
I've been able to do that for years, but the original is still something to behold.
True, exactly. Steve, you got your hand up.
Oh, while we're talking about hands, I thought we could segue to door handles.
Oh, yes. Tesla door handles.
Yes, the being able to operate mechanically from
Mechanically.
outside.
Oh,
It's coming pushed by China as a reaction to being able to open doors in emergency first responders.
Yeah.
But this is not a Tesla only thing.
No, not at all.
Correct. Not Tesla, but Tesla's affected by it.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I know of a accident that happened recently in WA where a Model Y was written off, and the complaint was, well, once the car locked itself, and the first responders came in and, you know, cut the HV line, so all the power went down, you weren't able to get back into the car. Well, it's like that with every other car.
It's also the low voltage that does the doors.
Sorry, but both the
Yeah.
low voltage and
Yeah.
the high voltage that they cut. So, but that's the case with any other car. Any other car, unless you have a physical key, and you're able to open the car with the physical key. Most modern cars have this in the same situation.
Exactly.
It's not most. It's some. It's mainly the ones with the push buttons and those things. Don't want to do with electrical operated latches.
Okay.
A lot of more primitive ones that they still just have proper mechanical doors things. But there are a lot of Lexus apparently. I think there's some BMWs, some Mercedes. And there's quite a few which have got like little button on you actually press your finger on to actually release.
But that goes.
But it is quite a few. It's not just Teslas.
But it goes back to my earlier point. How is that any different with a Model 3 or a Model Y? So you might have a physical handle, but you still can't open it from the outside. From the inside, you've got the mechanical override.
Yeah.
Both in the front and the rear doors in the current models now. But from the outside, the only way to get in is through the little circle on the front where you've got a tow hook. If you put
Yeah,
and that's the nature of the problem. That is why China is pushing for all vehicles to have a mechanical access from the outside.
Yeah.
That access would have to be, if it's subject to central locking, then the only way to unlock, it's not so much even just like, okay, let's say if there's a mechanical linkage. The thing is, if cars are lockable, you've got to prevent someone from the outside just opening the door handle to unlock it. So then you'd have to have a key. So I know some cars, remember the old cars used to have a lock in nearly every door, or they were in the front doors. And if it was a central locking, you'd have to use that, and then it may or may not work. And if the central locking didn't work, it would only unlock the driver's side door or something like that. So if China wants to press for a mechanical guaranteed passive, in other words, no power required, main method of opening at least one of the doors of a car or modern car, it would have to enforce the addition of a mechanical lock and a key mechanism that's mechanical and not electronic to physically open the door from the outside. And I guess the answer is Mark?
I'm saying one of the things that becomes a problem if that is enforced is, I haven't heard about it recently, but there was a time of going back now 10, 15 years, especially in Florida, an awful lot of tourists were getting rental cars. People were coming and they knew it was full of gear because these people had just got off the plane. They were actually driving up to them, hitting them in the boot really hard. And then the central locking would unlock, and then you could actually go in, and the others could unlock, and you just get into cars. Yep. Didn't have to pull them over, they just ran into them. And immediately, boom.
As a safety means,
yes. See, so if your central locking's disabled and stuff, then you've got that as a problem as well.
Yeah. So getting back to Steve's original thing with China, I mean, obviously there's no doubt if the Chinese mandate it, then all Teslas sold into China would comply with whatever regulation the Chinese come out with. And if that means paying an extra $10 or whatever it is to have a physical connection as an override mechanism, probably paired with a a physical locking mechanism, yeah, so be it. I mean, yeah, it's the thing is, in actuality, it would be super duper rare for someone. Well, no, you can't say that. I was going to say, if it's a first responder, all you do is kick the windows in. Like, if you want to get access to a person, you just kick the windows in. Bearing in mind, it's actually a bit harder to do. Yeah, fireys. Bearing in mind, it's harder to do on a Tesla because they're laminated glass. It's just a bit tougher. It doesn't just smash, but you can absolutely kick it in. I mean, legs have enormous force, and you can just kick it in, whether it's a side window, whether it's the windscreen, back window, or for that matter, the glass roof.
But normally, with this, if someone's out, what the fireys usually use is the jaws of life.
Yeah,
they just fuck the door. They just cut it. So it doesn't matter what lock or whatever.
Yes.
All this talk is just
Harold,
stupid, really.
If you like, in
Not
chat,
you guys,
I've put
but-
a link to a discussion on Tesla's next steps in redesigning its door handles to meet new regulations.
Not a
Yeah, well,
Tesla.
I mean, Franz has already said he's got the solution. So it was sort of like a misnomer anyway. It was they've already done it. They've already sorted it out.
Interior.
So they'll just put it in when it's done. I think it was
Well,
like
there
a
was
week
a-
after.
Yeah, well, there's a law
Did that.
case, there's a few lawsuits going through in America, so they already
Of course.
had some ideas. They've already been looking into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was as soon as the Chinese had talked about that, someone had asked Franz and he said, yeah, we've already got the solution.
Yeah.
So, but like anything, you won't put it in until you need it because every what is it, 30 seconds or something now in China for every Model Y coming out. So that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money just to stop the line just for that.
So I think to clarify, what the Chinese legislation is referring to is only to like a Model S or a Model X, where
Yes.
the handle can't physically be grabbed.
Yes.
So in a Model 3 or Model Y, you can obviously get it to come out by pressing on
Push the button.
I don't believe that's the case. I think even the Model 3 and the Model Y, it is electrical, although it's a mechanical thing. I don't think it's a mechanical unlock. I think it just releases an electrical switch, I think.
According to the article, they're saying in a severe accident involving power loss, the current exterior door handles on the Model 3 and Model Y are still operable. However, on the Model S, they may remain retracted and inoperable. The existing handle design is not intuitive to untrained bystanders or first responders and can be challenging to use. Tesla may need to adjust its design decisions for the Model S in particular to meet their requirements, but we expect that the Model 3 and Model Y will have a similar one-motion simplicity for electronic to mechanical release in the future. Interesting.
Yeah, but it does apply to all other vehicles that present
Have
the
electrical
handle
release.
when you come close to it. And you see the Zeekas and others on reviews, and they say, look at this. When I come close, it presents the handle, but that's electronic, not mechanical. So that's part of, I think, why China is reacting to all of the innovation in China, as somebody was talking about earlier. They're coming up with some issues that need to be sorted and resolved.
Yeah, indeed. So obviously, if Model 3 and Y is less susceptible, I mean, the locking issue I think is separate from the actuation issue. So obviously in a Model S, if the handles are not presented, it's pretty hard to grab them. look, you'd have to probably use a tool like a screwdriver or something like that to jemmy them, and I don't know if you tug it, if that would then open it, providing it was not locked. But of course, a vehicle, like a lot of cars, when they lock, they don't, in the old days we used to have a little mushroom rod thing, and you could just get a bit of packing tape or not packing tape. Is it?
Coat
Is it
hanger
called
is your
packing tape?
favourite.
Coat hanger.
No, yeah, coat hanger. Or if you want to be a bit gentler, it was that. It
was a blue packing tape.
Yeah, packing tape. It is packing tape. Yeah. Sorry, I was second guessing myself. Packing tape, and you can then jemmy it up and whatever. But then cars got a bit cleverer, and the so-called mechanical means of unlocking the central locking was via a small flap that's to the side that's not easily accessible. So if the occupants of the car are unconscious and can't do anything, then you've just got to start smashing stuff to get in, because grabbing a functional door handle won't do anything if it's not unlocked. And unless all fireys and first responders or anyone else all has master keys, which is not going to happen, that's a moot point as far as a lockability function under electrical conditions. But yeah, perhaps certainly Model S, absolutely. Model X, yeah, Model X is not physical. That's a push button. That's all electric. Model S is a amalgam of the two. So yeah, but no doubt
it's electric as well. Push button.
So say again.
Cybertruck. Push button.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
it is. In fact, it's completely electronic, because it's an infrared sensor on your finger. Because you just put your finger over the section of the glass that's got like this little small, differently coloured rectangle, and it just senses it, providing it was unlocked.
And I'm pretty sure Cybercab's going to be in the same boat.
Well, that's not.
Yeah,
in
that's a
China.
different class altogether. That's sort of all automatic. Yeah, that's right. So China's, yeah, I mean, absolutely, any regulator can decide for their own local conditions what their priorities are, and yeah, Tesla will just comply, regardless, and wouldn't necessarily have that extra cost borne with all the other cars to other locations, other jurisdictions. But there's certainly, and I'll get to you in 2 seconds, John, but there's certainly no doubt the laminated windows, that the passenger windows and driver, let's call it the cabin windows of a Tesla, are certainly a bit of a challenge.
Well, actually, if you have an accident and your airbags go off, the actual airbags are designed to actually smash the windows out, so you don't.
Yeah.
In the Teslas, so
They
then
often
you won't
do,
actually
yes.
have. Yeah, you won't have any windows.
Oh, they're there. They're just all broken, and then you've got
Yeah,
the
yeah.
interlayer that's kind of just holding all the shards together. But which again, like I said, you can just punch that through or
Yeah.
kick it from the inside or outside. Yeah, absolutely. John, you got your hand up patiently.
Thanks, Harold. A more basic driving question here about with the new Performance Y, and probably all new Performance Ys, the one tap on the scroll wheel activation of either driver cruise control up to.
Yep.
Is there any workaround, because
Yes.
you've got to go to park to bloody change
So
them?
there is one workaround, and bearing in mind, Tesla decided to do this on safety grounds. I think there's a second way of doing this. So the reason why it's so what it is in previous cars. So that's the classic Model Ys,
Yeah, the
and I think
escalation
classic Model
one to two.
3s. I
Yeah.
think with not non-Highland, non-Juniper.
Yeah.
You, and with or without a stalk. I think some of the Highlands, the previous ones, I think had this ability where if you had a stalk, you do a single tap for TAC, traffic aware cruise control, double tap for autopilot. There was an option to just have a single tap for either,
Yeah.
but you could always default to a single tap for TAC and a double tap for autopilot / FSD.
Yep.
The old-fashioned FSD.
Yep.
Actually, I've got to find out from my kid. He hasn't got FSD, but whether he's got a single tap or double tap. He's got a classic Model Y with hardware 4. Anyway, now what Tesla found, the reason why they've changed this behavior and what the new behavior is you only get one tap and then you have to choose what that tap is for. Now, whether it's a tap of the stalk or
Scroll wheel, yeah.
the scroll wheel, you've got to choose whether it's traffic aware cruise control or autopilot / FSD.
Before you actually start driving.
Yeah, no, yes. So what you can do is, if you are on, let's call it let's say autopilot for now, because autopilot doesn't handle certain streets very well. Like, you can't engage it on an unmarked street. So what you can do if you're on autopilot and you want to revert to TAC on a single tap system, you can while you're driving, you can press menu, autopilot, change it from autopilot to TAC. And you can do that while you're driving. So then you can just have traffic aware cruise control on the single tap. The problem arises when you then turn back onto a street that's got good marking, or the freeway or whatever.
Yeah.
The only way you can go from TAC being a selectable option to autopilot / FSD is to come to a stop. The workaround for that is that you set up 2 profiles. One profile, now only one can be connected to your phone, so let's call that your preferred profile, say autopilot / FSD as the single tap, and that's your main profile. Then just have another profile, and you could call it TAC or anything that's meaningful to you. As you're driving along, you can, if you want to go to TAC, you can just click the TAC profile. So you just got to click where your profile is. Sometimes you got to do a menu and profiles, because I don't think your name's always on. Or maybe you can just tap on your name. I think you can tap on your name.
You can, Harold.
Tap on your name.
You first got to press the car icon in the bottom right-hand corner, and
then
then
the name comes up.
Then the name comes up, and then you click on your name.
So click menu, click your name, change it to TAC. You then has a single click for TAC. Then when you get to a better piece of road, you can click menu, click on the TAC name or whatever name you've called it, and then go back to either your main profile or a profile called autopilot / FSD. Now, the reason why Tesla's done this is because there have been too many incidences where people, if you've got a 2-tap system, when you're in autopilot, and for whatever reason that you don't realize, it's fallen out of autopilot, perhaps most commonly because you might have wiggled the steering wheel too hard, and it's fallen out of autopilot. What people don't realize is, because the car doesn't slow down because it reverts to traffic aware cruise control, so it keeps motoring along without decelerating, so you don't feel that cue of it slowing down. But you might not have realized that the car is no longer doing active steering inputs, and you gently, and there's been a video on Dashcam Owners Australia. It was actually near the Mount Henry Bridge, travelling south near where Aquinas College is, and this Model Y just gently drifts off, and it goes off in the emergency stopping lane and then touches the rough, and the driver probably realises, oh, what the hell's going on, but it's too late, and they basically slam into one of the light poles, and it falls backwards, snaps off the base like it's designed to, and whatever. So Tesla's had enough of this. They've decided to do this. It's either all in on autopilot, which means that when it drops out, it doesn't drop out to TAC, it drops out to nothing, which is sort of safer, because you feel that instant deceleration, and then you're much more likely to become aware of what happened. Yep. Now, I think there's a second way of doing this, which would solve the problem, which is you maintain the double tap option. All you have to do, so let's say you're in a crappy area where you can't do autopilot or FSD, say, you're in TAC, that's a single tap. You can then graduate up to double tap at a later time or at the same time, whatever, and go into FSD/autopilot. Actually, FSD is less of an issue. Let's just call it autopilot for now. If it falls out because you wiggled the steering wheel too hard or you're drooping on the steering wheel and it wiggled off, all that the car has to do is, rather than dropping down to TAC, it just drops down to nothing. And that's the only thing they need to do, and that will have the functional equivalence of what they're doing now, but it gives you the double tap option. And I see no downside, because if someone inadvertently falls out of autopilot, it'll fall back to nothing. And then all you do is you either go back to autopilot using a double tap, or you go to traffic aware cruise control using a single tap, and that job's done. So, Elon, if you're listening, that's all you have to do. And it'll be just as safe as the system is today, and solve that problem. But John, in your case, and anyone else watching, the workaround is just have two profiles, and thankfully the car lets you change those profiles, and one of those profiles can have autopilot/FSD, and the other one can have TAC as the single press option.
But it's an added distraction rather than the way that you suggested, where it automatically will drop back to normal driving from.
Yeah, so my suggestion will fix the safety issue, but not cause extra distraction.
Yeah. That's the downside for me, the distraction of fiddling around, swapping between both. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, if you've got FSD, it's really not an option, not an issue, because FSD copes with everything, including dirt roads. So it's not, FSD is not the issue. Proper FSD, it's really for people using autopilot, where it just simply won't engage in all places, or it'll disengage as soon as it sees no line markings. It'll just give up.
That's the next plan. Yep. FSD.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, you've got your awesome Juniper. Oh, so how is it? It's a rhetorical question, but how awesome is it?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's being German built as well. The door, whether it's the laminated glass, but the door shut is very, very European. And the silence. Yeah, it's great.
Yes, that's right. For anyone that, forget the Mercedes but forget the BBAs, the Benz, BMW and Audis. If you want a good German-built car, get a Tesla Model Y Performance.
Yeah, it's magic.
Fantastic. Excellent. I could lie and say I'm tempted, but I'm just waiting for a certain vehicle starting with the letter C.
Yes.
Never mind. Cool, very good. That's great. Oh, what color is it, by the way, John?
It's the cherry, the nice dark red, the new dark red color.
Very good. Very, very good. Very good. Oh, actually, by the way, there is a bit of rumbling. We know in China, Tesla has the Model Y L, which is a 7-seater. Tesla has released.
No, it's a 6-seater.
6-seater. Man.
Sorry. Oh God, sorry. 6-seater.
18 inches longer or something. 18 inches.
Yes. In the US, they've released a 7-seat version of the Model Y, but I don't know if it's the longer version or not.
It's not.
Oh, really?
The normal Model Y. It's dumb.
Right. So the back is for little kids, and strictly for little kiddies.
Yeah. Little kids with no legs.
With no legs. Yes. So there you go. So no one knows what we're going to get in Australia eventually.
We might get. We'll get the L.
Yeah,
probably. Yes.
2 weeks.
talking about Jeff Lutz before, he is the GOAT. He is just magic
Oh, he's brilliant.
to watch, you know?
Yeah, he's brilliant.
great.
Yes, absolutely.
I used to do logistics, so I appreciate his
Yeah.
his
Well,
take
I
on
don't know
supply.
which smartphones. I presume it would have been an Android phone of
Yeah,
some sort.
he
but-
did the Motorola Razor.
Right. Yep.
That was him.
Yep.
And he worked
Yeah.
for. Oh, sorry. Go.
I was going to say he's forgotten more about logistics than we'll ever
Of
know.
Yeah, I know nothing in comparison.
And yeah, exactly. So, and he's really good because even though he's a Tesla bull, he understands it from a fundamental level just how difficult logistics is.
Yeah.
And also, they always talk about extracting signal from noise or working out what is signal and what is noise. And, you know, when you've got the odd rumor that says, oh, you know, XYZ company said that, you know, they've got a deal with Tesla to provide whatever for something. Of course, a lot of these pre-qualification regimes occur months, if not years, before actual mass production. So, yeah, Jeff's great. He's really good. It's funny. That sort of reminds me of Herbert, who is. I mean, his channel's great. He's very prolific. He's done thousands of videos. He does several videos a day, and he's got a okay interviewing technique. But so, what was it? The Moonshot podcast.
Yep.
So the two gentlemen that were interviewing Elon.
Yeah.
I must admit, I didn't watch it. I just looked at the supercut that I think Stephen Mark Ryan produced on just the bits that pertain to Tesla alone, because these two guys that were talking to Elon, they made the classic interviewer's mistake, which was making it all about them and their opinion, and they couldn't wait but to interrupt Elon in things like the surgeon thing with Optimus and so many other parts that I didn't even look at because it just made me angry. That the art of being a good interviewer is sometimes just to ask a question and then shut up and listen and comprehend the answer and not just sit to your script and go, well, now we're going to talk about the next thing, because Elon just dropped something that if you just ask him one more question, he's just going to open up and tell you something really interesting. It's not about them. It's about Elon, who you're interviewing. No one cares who you are and what you think.
Talk. He'll tell you stuff if you just let him talk.
Yeah. He can't,
Exactly.
actually, Elon can't help himself, actually, a lot of the time. It's sort of like, you'll
Yeah.
find out if he's on Joe Rogan or Lex Friedman, you end up finding out way more information than you do on anything else.
Both of those two are much better at that. Much better.
Yeah. Lex will sit there
Yeah.
and just
He'll
sit in
be
the silence and wait for him.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. You can't. Yeah. Anyway, it was very frustrating.
But
Yeah.
the trick to get through theirs was to do it in like almost double speed. So then you're getting the information. Yeah, that was the only way to get through that, because there was 3 hours of, there was some good stuff in there, but there was just, those guys just couldn't shut the hell up. And sometimes Herbert drives me nuts, but he's nothing in comparison to what those guys are doing.
Yeah, poor Herbert. Sometimes he gets a bit confused. Where there was a
Gets
thing where
excited and then gets in here.
no, there were three of them. There were three of them talking, or as in discussing something. It was about the quota for the 2,500 cars per manufacturer per year, and Herbert kept going, "Oh yeah, it's a quota." It's like no, it's not a hard quota total. It's per annum. And he kept on repeating that, and Jeff Lutz and I forget who else it was said, "You are the only person who thinks you are disagreeing with us." Like they all agreed on what it was. It was 2,500 per annum, but Herbert kept getting confused with calling it a quota,
it was
like as an actual limit. But anyway, I mean, look, he works extraordinarily hard, and like I said, he's very prolific. He puts out at least 2, if not 3 videos a day. So, anyway. It's all good.
Especially for retired guys like me.
Yeah, you need all this content, Paul.
Yeah, I do.
Exactly. All right. Speaking of content, this is almost we've only got about another 7 minutes of this awesome content. So maybe we should wind down for some sort of last questions or comments. If anyone's got anything that we've missed or something.
Just the comment I saw on X, someone mentioned that one of Elon's benchmarks for his compensation package is, so he's obviously got the market cap, but then he's got the qualitative benchmarks as well. And one of those is 10 million FSD subscriptions. And he was sort of joining the dots between that and not being able to buy FSD outright. And I thought, oh, okay. Yeah. It's a long bow to stretch.
I
mean,
they were always going that way, though.
Yeah. And it's a long bow to stretch because I think in all of Tesla's existence, what is it? They've manufactured 8 or 9 million cars, and only about 10% of them roughly have bought FSD. I mean, it is higher now with FSD supervised and with subscriptions, but it'd still be less than 20%. So it'd still be like 1.5. So it's still nowhere near the 10 million. But
yeah, the main reason why Tesla's doing this presumably is it's economically better off because, again, like I said at the very start, if you're owning the car for a short time and you're going to flip it, you personally are better off with a subscription. But if you're going to buy it and keep it for 8-9 years, then you're vastly better off buying it.
Yeah.
Notwithstanding, if you crash it, you got insurance issues and whatever. But sadly, the whole world is going to subscription. There was a time when everyone bought software and you bought it and that was it. But now it's most providers don't sell it to you. They literally refuse. So, in accounting software, MYOB used to buy, now it's just rented.
But FSD is software. That's what it is. So
yeah, that's right. So
category.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, in fact, BMW was it BMW or Audi was going down the subscription model of if you wanted heated seats, you had to pay a certain amount per month to get heated seats, even though the heating was there. So, that's something that actually Pete and I discussed earlier before the show was that previously, up to Valentine's Day, you can buy FSD. So that's kind of like the old-fashioned way of doing things. Now it's going to come to pass that anyone wanting FSD in a car that hasn't already got it prepaid will just subscribe, $149 per month. But we're probably in about a several-year phase-in period, transition, whereby eventually FSD, its cost to the user will probably shrink down towards zero, or it will approach zero, whereby basically it will be considered a necessary a requirement for a car to be registered in most countries. A little bit like when Mercedes-Benz and Bosch developed ABS for the Mercedes, whatever it was in the 1970s, that cost a lot of money. Yes. Yeah, thanks, Mark. And that was the first car and only car at that time that had it, and it was very expensive. For quite a few years in Australia, ABS was an absolute minimum requirement to be imported and registered in Australia. So things that were exotic frontiers of technology become legal requirements. So even if FSD, if most of us in future will have to, on a new car, will have to subscribe for FSD, that cost is likely to reduce for cars that are owned, and that's presuming in the future there will be cars that can be owned, and there'll always be people making cars to be owned or bought. So perhaps the subscription cost will reduce in the future, say in the next 5 years when there's competition from other car makers that have their version of FSD. And then what will always still make Tesla a lot of money isn't so much FSD subscriptions, but robo-taxi services, where they'll take that software sort of margin on the robo-taxis that provide the service, and they'll take a clip of the turnover.
And those things can be step changes as well. It's like the Mercedes S-Class was the first with the stability program. And then the A-Class came out, was released. And in the Moose test,
they rolled it.
Fell over. And the only way they could stop it rolling over was to move stability program from the S-Class to the A-Class in one hit. And it suddenly made it so everybody could afford stability program. And so the same thing could very conceivably happen with full self-driving.
That was a journalist. That was a motoring journalist that did the Moose test.
Yeah.
And the A-Class just fell over because it's really top heavy. Yeah. Yep. And then Mercedes obviously reacted appropriately and said, we're going to do whatever it takes to make this the most stable car, which is what they did. So, well,
and then once they've done
stable.
that, and they'd actually got because they had to move it to that meant it became a mass market thing, which meant that then all the other manufacturers could buy it straight from Bosch, because it was developed through Mercedes and Bosch, I believe. And
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So that which starts as exotic becomes mandatory. So, and FSD, that'll happen to FSD, in which case there will be no cost to subscribe to it. It'll just be included, just as when I bought my Model X in I received in 2017, autopilot itself was a cost. Whereas, I think all Model 3s and Model Ys have always had autopilot for free. Pretty sure. So again, I'd take this as a transient sort of state of affairs, as everyone having to subscribe if you want it. But in the end, I think Tesla will probably fairly quickly just go, you know what, safety is more important. And in fact, in America, Tesla has suggested that they might start doing things like, if you haven't got an FSD subscription or paid for FSD, but that the car detects that you are drowsy or inhibited, I think it says something like there's a suggestion it might come on and say you should activate FSD. Look, like I said, they may end up just effectively quasi providing it for free.
So what you're saying is, get FSD for free, you just start closing your eyes.
Eventually, I think eventually in the next few years it'll be free,
and it
won't be the way Tesla makes money.
Do it
exactly. So as soon as there's meaningful competition or regulatory pressure, no, actually the thing is, it'd have to combine, wouldn't it? The regulators aren't going to say the only car that can be registered is one that's got FSD if the only manufacturer is Tesla, because they just couldn't do that to the rest of the industry.
Yeah. And that NVIDIA system's still a few years away.
Many.
That's like 10 years, man.
Harold, the opposite way to make that argument would be from an economic perspective. So let's say you buy a fish and chip shop or whatever small business that you buy, and let's say it can produce you $20,000 or $30,000 per annum as revenue. That business is worth a certain multiple of that revenue. So if having FSD in your car at some point means that you can send it out and it can work as a robo-taxi for you, and if it can earn you $10,000, $15,000 in revenue, then it's got to be worth a multiple of that revenue, because otherwise
why would you buy a fish and chip shop when you'd just be better off buying Model Y?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. But Tesla may decide that they can make money at either end of that transaction, which is either in the subscription for FSD that enables it to be a robotaxi for you to put on their fleet, or they can reduce the price of the subscription to nothing. In fact, if you're on their robotaxi platform, you don't have to pay for FSD because it's already inherent as a prerequisite for the program anyway. And I guess in the extreme, your car that does not have FSD on it could still go in the robotaxi program because Tesla can just activate it once you activate it on the platform as a robotaxi. So if you insisted, you could drive it manually, and then when you put it on the platform and it starts earning money, Tesla just turns on FSD and job's done.
And there's a bigger chance that what Tesla might do is just say, we're not selling cars anymore. There's robotaxis. Full stop.
Oh yes, and just to round out this show, oh geez, we've got to do something next week anyway. There is a rumor. But this is just a rumor. It's not, don't take it as fact. But it's been reported as a rumor that there's talk that the Model S and X line at Fremont might be dismantled and therefore the S and X cancelled in order to free up space to produce Optimus. No, sorry, robotaxis. In Fremont.
Right.
And to be perfectly honest, as a shareholder, Cybercabs, as a shareholder, I'm comfortable with that because, as we've seen in the quarterly production results and delivery results, the total number of cars sold that were SX and Cybertruck was just bringing it.
Is that 9 or 11,000?
No, 55,000 for the whole of
the year.
The year? Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like 50K.
Yes. Yeah. News image. That was the first image.
About 11K, is it?
No, it's here we go. No, that's not that one. Sorry, it's that one. 2 seconds. There we go. So it was, if this turns on,
just over 50,000 for the whole year from memory.
So for the year, other models 54,000.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Or deliveries, let's call it 51,000 for the entire year, including Cybertruck, Model S, Model X.
Yeah.
Now,
and 11,600 for what's it, Q4?
Yes. So there's no doubt that Cybertruck is not a successful platform on the numbers. But S and X are also equally not successful anymore. They had their time. They fulfilled their role in Elon Musk's first master plan. The Roadster was that before? That might have been done after the Roadster. I'm not sure. But the Roadster was the super duper expensive, sub 5 second Halo car. That was a nightmare, but it did its job. And then the Model S was the expensive sedan, and the Model X actually went more expensive and became what Elon Musk called the Fabergé egg of cars, which went far too much in the other direction with its awesome Falcon Wing doors and all that sort of stuff. But then that was a necessary step to get to the Model 3, and then also the Model Y, which is obviously currently the world's most popular vehicle of any kind. The Model S and X has done. Roadster's gone. God knows why they're bringing back. We know why they're bringing back the new Roadster. It's just like Elon Musk says. It's sometimes nice to be able to buy things that you don't need or you maybe even shouldn't have, but it's just a technology demonstrator. The S and X have really done their job. They're the Halo cars. I don't think anyone's going to shed a tear, except for an S or X owner, if they get canned. In favour of doing something else that's more important to the company. So that's just a rumor that's out there that might be on the cards, and I think that's perfectly logical, especially when you look at the fact that combining Cybertruck and S and X, 50,000 units were delivered, or 51,000. So, yeah,
As a shareholder, bring on the changes there.
yeah, exactly.
It would have been a lot more Cybertrucks if they got the price right, though.
Yes, and really to do that, there's probably a little bit of a catch-22. They need to get some volumes up to get the prices down, and they may have to just accept they're going to do some design changes and maybe not build it out of unobtainium, basically.
But you may find the Cybercab gives them the volume on the 48-volt stuff. That means all the 48-volt stuff then becomes a lot cheaper because of the volumes from Cybercab.
Yep. And you could almost imagine, because the original design intent of the Cybertruck, the theory of it was it had this exoskeleton that was basically providing all the rigidity, which is why it was made of 31X stainless that was cold rolled and all that sort of stuff. So subsequently, it never was that, or isn't that at all. Not at all. It's just skin. So you could go to an aluminium skin, which would probably save a fair bit of money. And maybe you could, if you wanted to go the no paint option, you could go the, I forget what it's called, but the same process that the Robotaxi panels are done, and maybe do that as an option. But
it's like a polymer, isn't it?
It's a coat
color infused.
Yes, so I think there's a layer sprayed in, which is the colorant, and then the rest of it is the other part. It's kind of like a binary process, but it doesn't require paint, which is a very expensive process. So maybe that might be a thing for the Cybertruck, or they can just incrementally get some sales up, bring some sales to Australia, Thailand, right-hand drive markets, etc. And see what happens.
There's another option. They could release another variant of it, which would be a 3-row SUV, like a proper off-roader SUV, rather than a ute, and that may attract a larger market as well. And combine that with other markets around the world. Combine that with the 48 volts, like Mark said. Put all those three things together. It may just nudge them, towards the economics of scale that they need. Economies of scale that they need. Yeah.
Exactly. Alrighty. We're 2 hours and 10 minutes in, so it's probably time to call it a night. Next week, I promise we will review. Back in 2021 or 2, we had a show whereby we had estimations of the share price. I don't remember everyone's price, and it had to be split adjusted. But basically, the winner was, because there was a share price prediction at the end of 2025, and there was one at 2030, I think it was. And the person that got closest was Nigel Farrier, who guessed a split adjusted price of $833. Tesla got to about 400 and it was high 400s on the 31st of December, on Christmas, on New Year's Eve. So what we'll do next show, if we don't forget to do it, is try and do predictions. I think we'll do the end of this year, end of next year, and 2030. So we'll give everyone an opportunity to have a little bit of a think, and then that way we can always look at the receipts at the end of this year, next year, and in 2030, and see what happened. But of course, we'll just be guessing. But anyway, I won't be guessing, Pete, at how you would round out a show like this, because I already do know. But how would you round out this show?
As always, stay safe, stay sustainable, Happy New Year, and stay ahead of the curve.
And the best way to do that is buy a Tesla, join Tokwa, and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy and abundance. Alrighty, well, do hope you have a wonderful week, everybody, and I really do look forward to seeing you on next week's episode of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.